Welcome back. Thank you for stopping by, clicking on my video, and taking the time to check out the Barrett MRAD. Wanted to take just a couple of minutes here and give you just a quick overview video of the Barrett MRAD. This is something I picked up fairly recently. I've got a couple hundred rounds on. I've got some thoughts, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of share some content and show you some extreme long-range shooting with the rifle. So before we get started, what are we looking at as far as the package? So it's a factory Barrett MRAD in 338 Lapua Magnum. Found this a couple of months ago, pulled the trigger on it. Thought I wanted to give the MRAD a try and give 338 Lapua a try. And you'll see today, it's a pretty awesome round. On top of the rifle, it's a Night Force 7-35 attacker with the Tremor 3 reticle. Huge fan of the scope, huge fan of the reticle. This is, in my opinion, a must-have piece of gear for extreme long-range shooting. It's mounted by a spur mount. Again, one of my favorite mounts. Love the built-in level, super handy, super robust. It allows me on some of my other mounts to mount my Raptor rail for a Raptor laser rangefinder that I don't have on this rifle. But great optics setup here. And then shooting the accu-tac HGE 50 bipod. This thing right here, this is the best bipod I've ever shot, especially for a rifle this heavy with this much recoil. I've used quite a few other cheaper bipods that they're easier to get into price-wise, but none of them are nearly as robust as this bipod. For the load, I'm shooting the Hornady 285 ELD. It's running about 2,800 feet per second out of this rifle. I'm shooting it over 91.4 grains of H1000 powder. It's almost impossible to find right now, and this thing burns through powder faster than you can blink an eye. But for the kind of shooting that we're doing, it's an awesome load. I'll show you some 100-yard groups here. In just a little while, I'll show you the zero on the rifle. And then the rest of the video, I've got a spot out here where I can stretch out to 1550, 1600. So I was gonna show you some video there on a full-size IPSC. And then behind me, there's a canyon back here. If I can get my pickup in, if it's not too muddy, we should be able to stretch out to about 2,000 yards with this rifle. And gonna have some cool camera work set up so you can kind of get a look through the spot and scope. I'm gonna try to set a GoPro up down on the target. So it should be pretty fun to give you a look at what the MRAD can do at extreme long-range shooting. Here we are at the 100-yard line. I'm gonna put 3 rounds through the MRAD just to double check my zero, show you a small little group, what it's capable of on paper. Hope I can shoot all right. There's a lot of mirage downrange. I noticed that when I was setting my rifle down to get my parallax dialed in. So I gotta zoom back a little bit on the magnification to see the dot without it floating around. But let's take a look, 100 yards, check the zero, show you a group. And you can see my target kind of middle of the way down the canyon there. That's what I'm shooting at. I'll walk you down and show you the group once I'm done shooting. All right, here we are, 100-yard target. You can see zero looks pretty good, not the world's greatest group. I'm gonna guess that's 3/4 of an inch maybe. So that'll do, especially with the dot floating in the mirage, but yeah. Capable of better, I'd call it zero. This will get us out as far as we wanna go. All right, we've got a beautiful day for some long range shooting. So here we are up on top of the hill, overlooking the valley where I can shoot 1550, 1570. I've got 2 targets out here. At 1135, I've got a 2/3 IPSC, which is kind of down in the bottom of the valley. If you can see, there's a hay shed down there. That's 1135, 2/3 IPSC. And then if you go to the far side of the valley, before you get out of the seeded wheat where the green area is, there's a full-size IPSC at 1575. And again, we're shooting the 285 ELD. We'll give it a couple shots at each target. I'm thinking maybe 5 at each. See what our hits look like. And then I hope I can move out to about 2,000 here. So let's give it a go, see how we do. I got the GoPro running down there. I'm gonna have a camera looking through my rangefinders, kind of lined up over top my barrel to see if we can see some trace and see if you can see where the impacts are hitting. So at the 1575-yard target, I've got a flashing red light that should illuminate when I make hits. So let's give it a go, see what we can do. All right, here we are. I think it's actually about 1150. I'm holding about 8.6 mils, and we got 5 rounds loaded up. Let's see how we do on the 2/3 IPSC. off the right edge, a little more wind. Impact. Same hold. Impact. 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 4 out of 5. All right, here we are at about 1575. I've got 5 rounds loaded up, full-size IPSC. I've got you looking through the spotting rangefinders right over top of my head, so maybe you can see some trace. And we should have a flashing light out there when we make an impact. So let's give it a go. All right, I'm gonna hold 1.75 mils of wind to the left. Impact. Impact, left edge. I'm going to cut it down to a little less than 1.75, 1.6. Oh, low right. Let's go back to our previous wind call. Impact. Impact. 4 out of 5 at 1575. Looks like I'm a little bit low on the plate, but we're making hits. Good news. I was able to get into the field where I can shoot over 2,000 yards. Got my steel plate set up out there. It's a 30-inch circle. I wasn't able to get my rangefinder to actually range it. So when you're looking through the rangefinder, that's a SIG BDX 3000 rangefinder, and I absolutely could not get it to pick up the plate out there. So I cheated a little bit. I used my scope. I milled it out. That 30-inch plate, I milled it at about 0.41 mils. And you plug that in, you do a little bit of math. I did it in the shooter app. It comes up as 2,030 yards. Based on that, I'm gonna dial up 23.3 mils, I believe it is. And we'll send it out there. I've got 7 rounds left, so we'll shoot 7 rounds out there at that 30-inch circle. Hopefully I can connect with it. According to the ballistic app, the bullet's actually gonna be going transonic and subsonic at about 1950. So according to the ballistic app, we're actually beyond probably the effective range of this 285 that's running out of my barrel at 2,800 feet per second. So I don't know if that's gonna show up. This is my first time stretching the rifle out this far, but I figured I could get in the field, I could get my plate set up, and I figured we'd give it a try. So let's send 7 rounds out there, lights getting dim. We'll see what happens. Cut a little bit of wind out of it. A little left, need less wind again. Ooh, left again. I'm going to come up 1/10. Oh, good windage, a little bit low. I'm going to come up another 10th. Oh, over it. Oh, just left. This might be our last one. Come on, buddy. Oh, just left. Wow, what a day of shooting. If you made it all the way to this point in the video, I appreciate you sticking around. My thoughts now are, I was just going to do kind of a quick recap of what we saw in the video, and then my thoughts on the rifle, some of the quirks about it, what I'm excited about to bring you here in future videos. So as far as what we saw shooting wise, at 1150, whatever it was, went 4 for 5. When I walked out, hits were kind of bottom edge of the plate, so I needed to pick my elevation up probably a 10th or 2. And then out there at 1575, again we went 4 for 5, and hits were along that bottom edge of the plate, so I probably need to pick my elevation up a 10th or 2. And for what it's worth, this thing, I really just got my load developed. So as far as velocity, I've got some confidence there in my extreme spread, my SD, running single digit SD, extreme spread. When I put the chronograph on it for about 14, 15 rounds, I think it was, running like 20, 25 for the extreme spread, and then an SD in the 6, 7, 8 range. So velocity wise, I'm pretty happy. Group wise, I'm pretty happy. I think I could have done better at the 100-yard line if it wasn't for a little bit of mirage. So I'm happy with the load. I think this is the load I'm going to stick with on the rifle. Just I haven't had a chance to actually true it at distance. So from what I was seeing out here at these distances, probably an opportunity to true it up in the app as far as adjusting my BC. But unfortunately, my SIG rangefinder let me down all day. So I wasn't actually able to use the rangefinder at all to measure the 1100-yard target, the 1500-yard target, or the I suspect 2030-yard target. Really did me no good. So the first 2 targets, I kind of know where they're at from previous shooting. This one over here, this is my first time setting that circle out there at about 2000, so it's kind of a guess. Obviously I milled it out as the best I could do. Elevation wise, I think it was off by a couple tenths. I might actually move it a little bit closer just to get it inside of the supersonic range of this thing according to the ballistic app. I like to make hits versus just sending rounds out there. I was really close. I should have cut my windage back quite a bit more. I was holding probably too much windage out there at 2030, but it is what it is. As far as the rifle, this thing is a pretty sweet shooter. As you can see, I put 40 rounds through it today. Recoil wise, it's not bad at all. As far as a big Magnum, recoil is not a concern. This brake takes care of it. This thing's pretty heavy. I thought about adding some more weight to it just to hold it down, but we'll see. Trigger, love the trigger. So a lot of times, usually on factory rifles, I'm a guy that would go in and swap a trigger out. I usually don't like factory triggers on my ARs. I like to run Geisleys. I like to run the SSAE, the SDE. In my Ruger Precision rifle, I swapped it out. I think it's a Timney that I'm running in it. And I had fully planned to swap this out with a flat bow from Barrett when I got this rifle, but got the rifle. The trigger's pretty solid, so I'm happy with the trigger. No complaints there. So solid trigger. Pretty happy with the mags. I love the fact that we're running 10 round mags, so I just fired off 7 rounds in a matter of minutes there. A lot of misses. That was an expensive bunch of misses there, but it was fun. It was a good learning experience. 7 to 35 scope. This thing's awesome. So when I was milling it, I zoomed all the way up to 35, could really see that plate. There's no mirage out here now with the sun going down. Really was able to make that plate out and get a good mill reading. So I think I'm in the ballpark, especially based on the elevation I was seeing on my shots out there. So this thing, it's awesome. At these longer shots, I was actually dialing the elevation up versus at the 1150 yard target, I was just holding in the reticle, and it worked beautifully, because then you've got your windage dots. It's pretty awesome. Stock wise, I was a little bit nervous about this stock being a folding stock, but man, it locks up nice. It is super solid. I love the fact that it folds around to the right hand side, kind of locks that bolt down. My Ruger Precision rifle, it folds here to the other side, and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, as far as probably have about 300 rounds through this rifle so far in .338. I've got a load worked up for it. I'm making hits out at extreme long range. I should have made hits out here at 2000. That was kind of my fault, not cutting the windage back. But rifle's a shooter. I'm a huge fan. As far as what I've got in mind, I wanted to make this a review video of the MRAD and .338. And then coming up, I got a couple fun things I think that you're gonna enjoy. So I've got a 300 PRC barrel for this rifle, and my plan is tomorrow to start working up a load for 300 PRC, which I prefer to shoot actually. It's a little bit less recoil. And man, it's an awesome round. So what I want to do when I get the 300 PRC, a load for it, is I'm going to shoot a video, extreme long range, probably 1,000 plus, 1,000 to 2,000, comparing 300 PRC to the .338 Lapua Magnum. Ballistically, especially shooting the 285 and the 250 A-tip in the 300 PRC, I think you're going to find they're very similar as far as drop, wind correction, energy on the target, but a little bit lighter recoil on the rifle. Advantage of the .338 I think we'll see is barrel life, but we'll see. So I want to make a review video, go side by side, same day, same conditions, and compare those 2 rounds. I think that'll be fun. And then the other one I got in store for this rifle is I want to do a comparison of the MRAD versus the Ruger Precision rifle. And I'm going to wait until I convert this over to 300 PRC, so it's a fair comparison. And we'll see what you think about my opinion. It may surprise you. So anyway, I appreciate you sticking around this whole time, watching this video. I had a lot of fun. I wish I would have made hits for you at 2030 there, but kind of a tough day. First time out with this rifle. We'll get there. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you tune in to some of the future videos.